Greetings, sex bombs.
Sex bombs.
Whatever. I have the newest episode of the old 52, where I take an issue that came out of a previously run series, number 1, and talk about it. Now, the series has to be defunct. None of this whole, like, I can't talk about Spawn or anything like that because, you know, Todd McFarlane hasn't gotten on this whole renumbering jazz that everybody's into. This episode, we are talking about She-Hulk number 1. Now, this is my favorite She-Hulk number 1. There's been a few. And what's interesting about this particular Dan Slott series from the early 2000s is there were 2 number 1s in this run. Now, let me explain for a brief second. Marvel was doing something weird with this. Now, as you know, Marvel is a little bit of an addict when it comes to renumbering. And they were kind of aiming for, they pitched this as sort of like an Ally McBeal-ish kind of superhero action comedy series. And they talked about doing this in seasons. They did like 12 issues, and then they renumbered it for a new number 1 for like what they were calling season 2. But nobody liked that idea, so once 12 issues came around, they just kept going. So it was kind of a failed attempt at, I don't know, whatever the fuck they were doing. So as far as I'm concerned, issue 1 of the next series is 13 to me, anyway. This is the real number 1, so forget about that. Don't be confused. Well, you should be. Here is issue 1, like I mentioned. It is from Dan Slott. And there are a few artists on this book, but my favorite one, who was the first one, was Juan Bablillo. And I haven't seen him since this book, and I think his art is absolutely beautiful. It's very non-traditional superhero, but does kind of still fit in. It's really beautiful, and his version of She-Hulk is absolutely lovely. I mean, she's gigantic and thick and still, like, stunningly beautiful. So, I mean, she does still pose a threat, and there's nice, and when there is action in his series, it really has a nice, cool, fast-paced quality to it. I wish, actually, there was a little more action in the series when he was drawing it, because he just does it really well. Now, we do a quick flash. This is a number 1, I think, of an already established character, where, you know, it very quickly gets established who this character is, and jumps right into the present day. The first couple of pages deals with Jennifer Walters, and you also get to see her dad from the original series pop up. He was a police officer in L.A., and we haven't seen him very much since, so it's cool to see him pop up here. And we are kind of introduced to her in her college days, where it shows that she was always working, and when she won highest honors of her class in law school, nobody knew who the fuck she was. Like, oh, hey, oh, that's Jennifer something, right? Who is that? So, cut to the present, and we see her as She-Hulk partying all the time. I mean, really seriously partying all the time. And that's who she is. She really let go of her inhibitions once becoming a Hulk. And that's kind of a theme that they've kind of brought into kind of the concept of Hulks, that it brings out something that was kind of deep in your personality that you kind of suppress. And that of course, you know, established with, you know, Banner, and now General Ross and Betty Banner, you know, now they've become Hulks. And, you know, kind of their inner personalities have been explored as Hulks. And her deal was, she was really kind of, sort of, just always about, you know, focus and job and, you know, being that. Now she's, you know, just kind of living for the moment all the time. She is, the first half of this issue just shows what her life has been up, and she is, you know, partying with male models, not even knowing their names, and kind of eating everything in the Avengers kitchen, living in the Avengers mansion, by the way, speeding, not giving a damn about traffic laws, speaking of law, kicking some ass in court. This is actually an important moment in She-Hulk history, where she is trying this case against this the big evil corporation in Marvel, Pax. Well, one of them actually. No, this is not. This is Paxson, and she's winning, and she gets called to an emergency in deep space for the Avengers. So she says, "Hey, gotta go save the world. Be right back." And comes back, wins the case, parties down, to the point where even Tony Stark is thinking she's going too far. Really, seriously, Tony, hypocritical much? Oh, and okay, yeah, she wins, everything's cool, and cut to the next morning, and she's been asked to leave the Avengers Mansion, not leave the team. They still consider her like one of the most important members of the team, but she can't live there anymore because she's fucking the place up every night. Then she goes to work and finds out that she's fired because that case she just won was called a mistrial, because the jury seemed to be maybe persuaded, since she kind of ran off, saved the world, came back, and she got in big trouble with her own bosses. She's been causing a lot of disruption, and this was kind of the last straw. So she's out on her green ass, and she runs into Blizzard, and they have a wonderful couple of scenes together where he's going to get revenge on her, and she says, hey, look, you're down on your luck, I'm down on my luck, why don't we just have a drink? And she gets him drunk, and he falls kind of drunk, stupid, and she's unaffected by alcohol, so, she kind of like outwitted him there. At the end, she's hired by the very guy who was, she was running against, not running against, she was up against in court. He had been watching her and thought that she would be a great lawyer for his law firm. And they are called, Lieber, Kurtzberg, and Holloway. And they're like a major law firm that deals with all sorts of kind of superhero-ish cases. You gotta imagine, that's gotta be a big problem in a superhero universe, is litigation. So she's hired, but only if she appears as Jennifer Walters in court and not She-Hulk. So that's kind of a big deal. I mean, she barely is Jennifer Walters. And this issue is the beginning of this series from Dan Slott. And what Dan Slott was doing was he was reinvestigating the Jennifer Walters side of She-Hulk, where he had made a case that she kind of like, after years, just kind of looked down on that side of her personality, and this was a chance to reevaluate who that was and maybe see if she can come together as a whole person, rather than just the big giant hot superhero kick-ass character. So I really enjoyed this series a lot. There were several She-Hulk books, and this was easily the best run. Peter David followed up Dan Slott and did a really nice run finishing up the series, but you really should start here. This was really great. I think that's it, so push the button, Lindsay.